Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us at the official press conference for the 68th Annual National Father of the Year Awards. My name is Glenn Shannon, and I have the honor of serving as chairman of the National Father's Day Committee. I'd like to congratulate the 2009 Fathers of the Year, and as I call your name, if you can come up and take your place on the podium, Coach Michael Kay, General David Petraeus is not here, but we have Mr. General Dowd here today. George Stephanopoulos, who will be here, I know, shortly, but will not be able to be part of the press conference. Jonathan Tisch. Al Unser Sr. And Ron Wurzberger. As well as this year's All-Star Dad, Robert Wonder. I am also delighted to introduce to you the moderator of our press conference today, a man whose spectacular career as a television news anchor and political commentator has earned him critical acclaim in broadcast journalism. You may know him as the mainstay of cable news, but his three children, Michael, Thomas, and Caroline, simply call him Dad. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Chris Matthews.
Thank you all for coming on this beautiful day. I feel like I'm in Blade Runner. There is climate change. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you all. It's a great honor to be here this morning. If you have chairs, well, they're all there's some over there, actually, but it's great to be here. I came because I saw who was being honored. It's an amazing group of people. I'd like to introduce each of the distinguished Fathers of the Year to begin the program. Please hold your applause so everybody gets an equal amount of applause at the end. It's not a contest. They've already won. Starting all the way to the right, your right, is Ronald Wurzberger. He's the president of Peerless Clothing USA. And where is he?
Right here.
And you're right. You're right.
Oh, this right.
Right.
They've changed this.
You don't know if you're right or left.
Through 2 decades, Ron has spearheaded the development of Peerless into the largest supplier of menswear in North America. Ron and his wife, Poppy, are the proud parents of 7 children. Are you Catholic?
Yeah.
Bonnie, Seth, Richard, Jennifer, Mindy, Stephen, and Howard. And 7 grandchildren, Matthew, Josh, Zachary, Jared, Nicole, Ryan, and Gavin. Next we have racing legend. There he is, Al Unser, with a racing career that spanned 37 years and 4 Indy 500 wins. 4 wins at Indianapolis 500. You can't applaud for that. Al has since founded the Unser Children's Discovery Center and Racing Museum, which is dedicated to children's education. And currently admits over 5,000 children for free each year. Al's the proud father of Al Unser Jr., of course, who's continued to win Indy 500s. Our next honoree is business mogul Jonathan Tisch, chairman and CEO of Loews Hotels. In addition to being responsible for developing Loews into a leading luxury hotel chain, Jonathan Tisch is also recognized as I know this firsthand, as a national leader of the multi-billion-dollar travel and tourism industry. He's often found speaking on the industry's importance as a vehicle for economic development and job creation. Jonathan and Lizzie Tisch have 3 children. Next, we have George Stephanopoulos, who's almost here. He's the chief Washington correspondent for ABC News, the anchor of ABC's This Week with George Stephanopoulos on Sunday mornings, of course. George is highly regarded for the depth and variety of his political interviews and previously served, as we all know too well, as senior advisor to President Bill Clinton for policy and strategy. George and his wife, Alexandra Wentworth, who is fabulous, she's an actor, are the proud parents of 2 daughters, Elliot and Harper. Next is Mr. Stephanopoulos, if you were here, is Major General Kenneth Dowd. He's in uniform. Thank you for your service, sir. Thank you, John. Who will be accepting the Father of the Year Award on behalf of General David Petraeus, who couldn't be here. And we always assume that he's not here for a very important reason. He's meeting with someone else today. General Petraeus is commander of the United States Central Command right now. He was, of course, he's commander for 19 months of the coalition forces in Iraq. A graduate of West Point, he was selected by Foreign Policy magazine recently as one of the world's top 100 public intellectuals, and by Esquire as one of the 75 most influential people of the 21st century. General Petraeus and his wife Holly have 2 children, Ann and Stephen. Our next honoree is Michael Krzyzewski, head coach at Duke. For the last 29 years, he has led the Blue Devils through countless winning seasons and exceptional graduation rates, creating a basketball team that is his closest family. He coached the 2008 U.S. men's Olympic team, which won in Beijing. That's always important to win. It's great to win. Sometimes we lose the basketball championship, and we hate it. We hate it. Sometimes it happens. He and his wife, Mickey, are the proud parents of 3 daughters, one of whom is here. Debbie's here, and Lindy and Jamie, and 5 grandchildren, Joey, Michael, Carlin, and Amelia Sarverino, and Quinn Frasher. Concluding our group of fathers, we have our 2009 Ashok Sani All-Star Dad. I met him already. What a great guy. Rob Wonder, who was selected by our Blue Ribbon panel of judges among thousands of letters written from about great dads across the country. Rob recently put his teaching career aside to become roommate and caregiver to his son, who was paralyzed in a tragic swimming pool accident in high school. From walking his son to class to turning his son every 2 hours during the night to prevent pressure sores, Rob has devoted 4 years of his life to his son's well-being and education. He's created a new definition for the word father and exemplifies the true power of love. Rob and his wife Sue are the proud parents of son Rob and daughter Haley. At this time, I'd like to invite you all to congratulate the Fathers of the Year. Well, this is a very structured kind of press conference, not the kind I'm used to, which is insane. But this is very structured. We have 3 questions I think actually are really good questions. And I'm going to start them by going from my left to right, gentlemen, and then we'll come back the second time from you, General, and then the third time we'll start with you, Mr. Wonder. There's a logic here. The first question is, and they didn't know these questions were coming. Just kidding. What lessons have you learned from your own father that helped you to become a better father? Mr. Wonder.
I think a couple things. One thing, my father was a big Walt Disney fan, and he had stole it from Jiminy Cricket, I believe, and he always said, "Let your conscience be your guide." And I tried to do that as a father, as a husband, as a teacher, as a coach, and hopefully that made me a better person. So let your conscience be a guide. And the other thing was, he always said, you're responsible for the things you do and say. So be ready for that. Be ready for the things you do and say, and people are going to take you for that. So I think that was the 2 big things that my father instilled in me.
That's great. Mr. Unser.
Well, I think that biggest thing I learned from my father was if I started something, to continue to try to do it 100%, because he was a man that very highly believed in that, of saying, if you start it, finish the job that you start. And I think with that, he taught me an awful lot of trying to guide myself in my career, in my life, and my family.
Mr. Tisch.
My father, Bob Tisch, was a unique individual coming from Brooklyn, New York, grew up in New York City. And he had a way of treating people with respect that was unique and very educational for me. Whether it was someone on our bell staff or a waiter in one of our hotels or a president or another CEO, he would treat them all with respect. He would listen to what they had to say, and he was nice to everybody. And those are all rules that are very important to any individual, especially a father.
Mr. Orsberger.
My father, he taught me how to trust people, how to love, how to be there for your family, and be truthful always to yourself, and you have to succeed. He was a hard-working man and showed us by his deeds how to succeed in life, and that nothing was a free trip, and that you had to be out there constantly looking after yourself and proving yourself all the time to yourself.
Coach K.
Yeah, I lost my dad when I was a senior at West Point, and what I learned from him was that a father's responsible for taking care of his family, supporting. He was an elevator operator in inner city Chicago and did extra jobs, and we never wanted for anything. And then the other thing, to be proud of our name, and that you're a Krzyzewski. Make sure that you always will be a Krzyzewski. So I'm still a Krzyzewski. Listen to my dad.
General Dowd.
In talking to the boss before I came down, he just gave me a couple of comments, and they were that his dad and mom really loved, he felt the love from his parents. And he taught him, his father taught him, no excuses, no shortcuts to success, and accomplish your task. And the boss, in talking about his parents, felt the love and really learned a lot from what they showed him each and every day.
The next question is, imagine overhearing, this is really tricky, imagine overhearing one or more of your children talking about you with their friends. What would you hope they would say? You first, General.
Well, I've got 2 children, and I know what I hope mine would say, but the boss, when we talked about it, he just said that Dad loves us, he cares about us, he's a very busy man, but he always knows the love is there for both of the children.
Well, I would never, I know what they would say. They say, I got my dad's back, I love him, I trust him, and because that's what our family's built on, face-to-face communication and honesty. And I have ultimate confidence in my 3 daughters that they have my back.
I would hope that I would hear my children say that they love their father and that he's always there for them, and that no matter what problem would happen in life, that they could turn to their father, because, as you would say, I have their back always, and I know they know it, so I feel great about that. And your name is as long as mine.
I got more consonants. One more Z.
We could have the alphabet together.
You don't even have a Y.
The first name.
All right, you got it. That's it. Good job.
Mr. Tisch.
I actually did overhear my kids talking about this, and they said, "Did we get a vote in this award?" My hope would be that they would discuss how we give them the latitude to be who they want to be and to explore what's going to be important in their lives, knowing that we are always there for them.
Mr. Unser.
Oh, I'd like to have them say that they loved myself and their father as much as I love my father and mother. And that, again, that they would become very successful in life, as I think my family has. So, you know, you have to sit back and look at them, I guess, and hope that that you've guided them in the right direction, and there isn't much you can do if you didn't. I hope that they sit back and look at us and say that they hope that they'll be successful as we are. Thank you.
Mr. Wonder.
I don't think there's anything left to say from what started down the end of the table. I would hope that they would say, you know, all the above. I am in a unique situation where I live in a 15 by 15 dorm room with my son, so I kind of hear what he says about me a lot. I won't repeat it. No, I would just hope that, you know, the kids know that I'm there for them, know that I love them, know that, you know, Sue and I try our best to give them everything they can possibly want, and that they wouldn't want anything else. And so.
Now, here's the hard part. What advice would you give fathers out here, or anyone paying attention or getting written about here, or they read what's said here today, who are just starting out to build their families? Mr. Wonder, you can start this time.
Enjoy every moment. Enjoy every moment as your family grows, because you never know how in a second how things can change. And we've been living that since 2006, but we haven't missed a beat. And just enjoy every moment. Things can wait. The job can wait. The grass can wait. Well, the grass can't wait, can it, dear? No, but enjoy every moment you can while they're young because it goes fast. It goes fast. We used to do a lot of camping, and people used to say, "Well, why do you camp?" And I said, "Well, we're doing it now because pretty soon the kids aren't going to want to spend time with us. So we'd go out and spend a week in the woods and kind of get to know each other again, and it was good stuff. So enjoy every moment."
I think that you know, if you had anything to do, you'd want to raise your family to be able to have something in life and to go after their family as you have tried in your own family, and to be very successful in life and to love and to try to teach them how to love each other, because it's hard these days to try to get everybody to love each other, because I think we lose that value sometimes, and you try to get them to raise their family to where it's very successful and they love each other as you love them.
Thank you.
Parenting is a very difficult job, and I would tell fathers-to-be, number one responsibility is keep your kids safe, especially in today's world.
Mr. Wurzberger.
I would tell my children, don't just work. Spend time with your family. Make it as important as your office work. Find the time to coach your kids or whatever they're doing. Put money away in the bank because you don't know what tomorrow brings. Don't live over your head. Love each other, support each other, and be there for each other, and respect your parents.
Mike?
I like to respect the parents thing. I would tell a new father, you know, be your child's friend, always, and be best friends, and that means to tell that youngster the truth throughout his or her life, and where they know when they look to their right or their left, you're there. They're never alone because of that friendship, and I think that'd be the best advice I could give someone.
General Dowd.
In the military, you know, we're deployed a lot, and the biggest thing here is we work the family piece when we're back, but we also have to rely on making sure we get the right partner, and that's the big part of the family unit in the military, the love and those type of things. But it's a team effort, and in order for us to be successful in the military, we got to make sure we bring the families along, bring them together, and just work those pieces when we're back home.
Great. This is called a press conference, so I have to ask if there's any questions. Daddy questions. Anybody have any? If not, I'll adjourn, and we're going to go to the Empire Ballroom for the silent auction. It's been great to be here. You can now applaud these great people. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, welcome everybody. I'd like to call to order the 68th Annual National Father of the Year Luncheon. My name is Joe Rivers. I'm the Executive Director for the Father's Day, Mother's Day Council. At this time, I'd like to introduce you to the children's choir on stage to my left. They're from PS 208, the Elaine L. Locke School. PS 208 is a small school on 111th Street in Harlem, named after Elaine Locke, the great African-American philosopher and educator, who is credited with defining Harlem's Renaissance. The school's choir is 25 students, aged 8 to 10. The principal is Miss Susan Green, and the choir is under the direction of Lucius Reed. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming?
That's PS 208. Now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you the chairman of the Father's Day Committee, Vice President of Menswear for Macy's.com, Mr. Glenn Shannon. Glenn Shannon has had a long and illustrious career in the retail industry, starting at Bloomingdale's and obviously ending up with that meteoric, successful Macy's.com. He's been 20 years with that group. He's been with the council probably even longer. He's served on many posts, including the presidency and, of course, chairman of the Father's Day Committee. Glenn is a father of 2 daughters. He lives in New Jersey, which we're not going to hold against him. Ladies and gentlemen, Glenn Shannon.
Thank you, Joe. Welcome, and thank you for joining us for the 68th Annual Father of the Year Luncheon. In 1910, Mrs. John Bruce Dodd of Spokane, Washington, conceived of and founded Father's Day as a tribute to her father, who had reared the family after the death of their mother. Mrs. Dodd hoped that in honoring her father, she would inspire others across the country to celebrate their own dads. But it wasn't until 1931, when the Father's Day Council was organized, that a cohesive national celebration took form. 12 years later, Father's Day still lacked the national profile it deserved, so the National Father's Day Council came up with the idea for Father of the Year, in which a special committee selected contemporary leaders for the honor. The first honoree was General Douglas MacArthur. The plan worked. Congress passed legislation making Father's Day a national holiday. With Father's Day safely on the national calendar, the Council had yet another objective: philanthropy. And now I am proud to announce that the proceeds from today's luncheon will be donated to Save the Children U.S. programs, which benefit almost 35,000 youngsters who live in the areas of persistent poverty in America. Partnering with the schools and community organizations, Save the Children provides high-quality early childhood development services for children from birth to age 5, and literacy and physical activity programs for children from kindergarten through 8th grade. And may I just add that our work with Save the Children is what gives me such great pleasure in serving as today's Father's Day chairman and luncheon here today. I think that's it. Now enjoy your life, or are we starting with the first? Okay. I am now honored to present not one, but 2 special awards to an extraordinary businessman, an inspiring humanitarian, and a super dad, Mr. Ron Wurzburger. Ron is one of those rare honorees to simultaneously receive the Father of the Year and the Milton J. Margolis Humanitarian Awards. A retail veteran of over 40 years in the industry, Ron Wurzburger is currently the president of Peerless Clothing. Ronnie began his career at Eagle Clothes in 1965, where he became vice president of merchandising in 1972, and president of Jeffrey Bean, a division of Eagle, in 1975. From 83 to 88, Ronnie served as president of Caravel Clothes, where he became an export in the import business. In 1989, Ronnie became president of Peerless Clothing USA. For the past 20 years, Ronnie has spearheaded the development of Peerless from a Canadian-based manufacturing company into the largest supplier of menswear in North America. Over time, Peerless has licensed many top designer labels, such as Lauren by Ralph Lauren, Chaps, Calvin Klein, Michael Kors, Donna Karan, Sean John, and Izod. In addition to his career, Ronnie's humanitarian activities are extremely important to him. He has become a counselor to people stricken with prostate cancer, helping them to relieve the fears and guide people through their most difficult time. He considers this to be one of his highest priorities. As a member to inner city teams, Ronnie provides internships to young people that teach them how to prepare for a career, as well as life outside the office. Ronnie also serves as the co-chair of the menswear division of the UJA, as well as vice president and trustee of Park East Synagogue. He and his wife Poppy are actively involved in the Pediatric Cancer Foundation, Ronnie often interrupts his busy schedule for his family, including his wife, mother-in-law Charlotte, and his children, Bonnie, Seth Harris, Richard and Jennifer Wurzberger, Mindy and Stephen Schulman, and Howard Newthaler. A proud grandfather of 7, Ronnie has been known to leave the office to attend events for the real ones he loves: Matthews, Josh, Zachary, Jared, Nicole, Ryan, and Gavin. I believe you're all here today. It is now my great honor to both recognize Ronnie J. Wurzberger for the Father of the Year Award and the Milton J. Margolis Award. I do have a special guest here who's really going to present Ronnie with a great award. Ladies and gentlemen, Terry Lundgren, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Macy's.
Thank you. Glenn said it well. But when I was supposed to be out of town today, when I heard Ronnie Wurzberger was being honored, I changed my plans because I wouldn't miss this opportunity for this dual recognition of being first a devoted father. We all know about that in the industry, and he leaves work early, leaves our meetings at Macy's to go visit his 7 grandkids when they're doing their activities, and we totally get that. But also this recognition for the Milton Margolis Humanitarian Award. This is a generous industry. We do extraordinary things in our industry in terms of giving back to the community, beyond what I think most people realize and recognize outside of our industry. It really is extraordinary. There are few people in our industry or in the world who are as generous as Ronnie Wurzberger. Ronnie Wurzberger is at every one of our events. He is always one of the biggest givers, and he gives his time as well as his money. So it is with a great honor for me to be here today to help present this award to Ronnie Wurzberger.
Terry, first of all, thank you so much. It meant a lot to me for you to do this. I really appreciate it with your busy schedule. Thank you. I would like to thank the Father's Day Committee for honoring me today. Receiving the Milton Margolis Award for Philanthropy means a lot to me because I was always taught that part of being a good, responsible citizen was helping others, giving both charity and time. As a child, there was constant meetings in my home, planning various fundraising events for the charities that my parents supported. My sister and I had the pleasure of seeing our mother honored for her work and watching our father giving his full support. My sister and I worked for the March of Dimes, Cerebral Palsy, and collected money in blue cans to plant trees in Israel. 12 years ago, I was stricken with prostate cancer and thought my life was over. The word cancer is the worst word that anybody can hear. As I recuperated, I began to believe that the urologist who discovered my cancer gave me the gift of life. I pledged that I would help anyone who also suffered from prostate cancer, since I had felt the need for someone to calm my fears and tell me what to expect. I let the word out and that I was available for counseling, and people from all over the country began calling me. I told them the little things that doctors don't tell you, and tried to make people laugh with a few of my experiences. It has been very satisfying to be able to help people in their time of need. Since my wife also comes from a family that was active in the community, she too continued the tradition of working with both neighborhood and charitable organizations. Although you may not realize it at the time, your children see you working to help others, and the next thing you know, they are doing the same. We are so proud of the time and energy that our children have put forward working for good causes. But here's the best. Our grandchildren have inherited the trait. They have watched their great-grandparents, us, and their parents, and now you guessed it, they do their part. They donate some of their toys they received to underprivileged children. The older ones gave some of their bar mitzvah money to charity, and our granddaughter Nicole grew her hair in order to cut it for locks of love. Philanthropy continues to be important to our entire family. I only wish today that my parents were here today to see what a great job they did providing the foundation for 3 generations to build on. I am fortunate to have a second family, though, who has supported all of my philanthropic efforts. The Peerless Group, which I applaud, that has worked with me on every charity event, ensuring its success. And a special thanks to our chairman and owner, Alvin Siegel, who has encouraged me in all of these endeavors and inspired me by the example he has set for us. Another mentor who has been an inspiration to me is Rabbi Arthur Schneier, the leader of Park East and Day School, where I am a vice president and trustee. He is also the founder of the Appeal of Conscience Foundation, an interfaith group working to promote religious freedom throughout the world. Watching him constantly give his time and energy has made me want to do even more. And when the Father's Day Committee told me that the proceeds today was going to save the children, I was thrilled. I can think of nothing better on Father's Day or any day than helping children in need. So Mark Shriver, I salute you for the hard work and dedication that you do. It's just fantastic. Now for the second part of the award, Father of the Year. Well, I want to tell you about my dad, because he was the perfect example of what it takes to be a good father. He was both a great dad and he was my best friend. Dad was a tough kid from the Lower East Side, but he taught me to love and to show love, to be proud to kiss your dad hello, no matter where you were or who was there. He worked very, very hard, but always found time for me, taking me out on every Sunday morning and coming to all my sporting events. If I did something wrong, which was often, he wouldn't yell, he wouldn't sit and quietly show me the mistakes and always let me know that he was there for me. I have a problem, so I have to stop for a second. My problem is that they gave me a time of which I could speak. And if you see here in my notes, I have a question mark, whether I should be Ronnie and be funny or if I should just be serious. So as the people who work with me know that I call a lot of audibles, I think I'm going to call an audible. They can't take this away from me, right? And they're definitely not asking me to come back next year, right? So I'm going to go for it. When I was a kid, I loved basketball. Not for you, Coach K. I couldn't have made your team. But I loved Bill Sharman, who played for the Boston Celtics. And I would walk around my house practicing my one-hand Bill Sharman shot. Never really made a basket, but in the house I practiced. My sister was in the living room, and I came in to show her that I think I had it perfect. Well, it dropped out of my hand and broke my parents' favorite lamp. The noise made my parents come into the room and looked at, who did this? My sister, trying to protect me, told my father, Bill Sharman did this. So my father knew it was me, of course, and he gave me a lesson about respecting other people's property and being more considerate. Fast forward 2 years. My father had a beautiful fish tank in my room. You could guess the story, right? My best friend at the time, Richie Ada, who's still my best friend 50 years later, we were having a catch with a baseball. Now I'm Whitey Ford for the New York Yankees. I throw Richie my curveball. It didn't break, but it broke the fish tank. Dead fish all over my room. This time my father wasn't so nice. He never yelled. He put me to work in his store every Saturday till I had enough money to pay them back for the fish and the tank. And the third story I want to tell you was 2 years later. I'm 17, just graduated high school. I'm as cool as can be. It's graduation, my prom, and now, of course, there's always a party the next day. I invite my girlfriend to the party. I asked my dad if I can borrow his brand new silver 98 Oldsmobile convertible with gray with red seats. I was looking cool. Took her out to the party, and I thought I'd win her over a little bit more. I said to her, would you like to learn how to drive a car? She said, I don't have a license. Don't worry, you're with me. She's loving me, right? Well, she was doing perfectly fine, so I saw a car 2 streets up, and I said, hit the brake. You got it. She hit the gas pedal. The car was sitting, the engine and the fire hydrant were right next to each other on the car. She had black eyes, I had a gash. Now guess what? I had to call my dad. Called my dad, told him I smacked up the car. First thing, good dad, wanted to know if I was okay. Yeah. What happened? I told him. That night he saw the car. He called me into his room and said, what happened? So I told him the story again. He said, you're lying to me. I said, I'm lying to you. He proceeded to tell me that he wasn't so annoyed that I smacked up the car, that it was immature and stupid of me to endanger the 2 of our lives in the car, but he was angry that I lied to him. And the point he wanted to make me forever was you never have to lie to your parent, whether good things or bad things. So I said to him, I drove the car. So I want you to know about the impression I made on that girl that day. She is sitting here today as my wife. I have tried to pass. Oh, one other thing I was going to tell you, I just thought about it. My father had to come to school so many times because of me that they should have given him another diploma. I really think so. I have tried to pass his positive attitude and his warmth onto my children and my grandchildren, as well as our traditional kissing. I miss him very, very much, and I feel very bad that my grandchildren never had the opportunity of knowing such a sweet, loving, unselfish man. Now I'd like to introduce my family. It goes without saying that to be a good father, you need a loving partner who instills good values in the family and keeps things together while you are out of the country. At business meetings, behind closed doors, long-distance phone calls, on and on. The person who has really held our family together and taught our children to know the difference between right and wrong, to be reliable, loving, to study, to work hard, and to be the best they can, is my wife, who I have loved since she was 14 years old. I won't tell you how many years ago, or I'll stop being the love of her life. Please meet Poppy, the love of my life, my partner, and my best friend in the world. I'm almost finished, Glenn, don't get worried. And now for the rest of my family. The greatest joy in my life has come from the time I spend with my children, whether coaching them, vacationing with them, or just hanging out with them. There is no greater thrill for a father than to watch his children mature into solid citizens and take his teachings and then improve upon them. If you are lucky, as I have been, they will also grow into loving parents, giving you that extra special gift, grandchildren, who you now can watch in their activities, share vacations with, enjoy seeing the next generation blending into a closely knit group. I would like you to meet them all because I love them and am so proud of them. My daughter Bonnie and her husband Seth. You stand, did I mention your name? I want you all to stand if you're still here. Okay. Matthew, Josh, and Nicole. Princess, get up. My son Richard and Jennifer and their boys Ryan and Gavin. My daughter Mindy and her husband Stephen and their children Sir Zachary and Jared. And my son Howard. My sister Linda and her husband Lloyd and their family. My sister-in-law Iris and her husband Howard. And the matriarch of our family, Poppy's and my mother, Charlotte. So, Mom and Dad, my life started with you always being there for me and teaching me right from wrong. And I continued on this wonderful journey that has brought me to this special moment. I thank you all for the awards you have given me today. I am humbled by your recognition of my achievement and filled with pride in my family that you see before you. Happy Father's Day to all of you, and thank you.
Ronnie, we'd like to read you a letter that actually Mark Schreiber, who Vice President of Save the Children, is here today, and he's just going to come to the podium for a second and read a letter to you, Ronnie.
Congratulations, Ronnie. This is a note from my uncle, Senator Kennedy, who received this award. I should know the year, but I don't know the year. Do you know the year, Chris Matthews? When he got the award, Senator Kennedy? 66, okay. I put Chris Matthews on the spot, so he's not going to be happy about that. And he gets the microphone, so he'll say something back later. Dear Ronnie, warmest congratulations on receiving the 2009 Father of the Year Award and the Milton Margolis Humanitarian Award. The Father of the Year Award has special meaning to me as it has been bestowed in the past on my brothers, my brother-in-law, my nephew, and myself. Your success in business has been matched by your commitment to family and your impressive service to numerous charitable and civic organizations, including as co-chair of the menswear division of UJA, vice president and trustee of the Park East Synagogue in New York, and your longstanding involvement with the Pediatric Cancer Foundation. From counseling prostate cancer patients to mentoring inner-city teens, you've displayed a generosity of spirit and a commitment to philanthropy that serves as an admirable example for your 4 children and 7 grandchildren. Today's double honor is eminently well-deserved, and I send my best wishes to you and Poppy and your entire family for the years ahead. As ever, Ted Kennedy. Thanks very much, and congratulations. We have this framed. I left it in.
Okay, at this time, it is my pleasure to welcome today's MC. Chris Matthews has distinguished himself as a broadcast journalist, newspaper bureau chief, presidential speechwriter, and best-selling author. Chris has covered many of the world's most significant events, including the fall of the Berlin Wall, the first all-races election in South Africa, the Good Friday Peace Accord in Northern Ireland, and the funeral of Pope John Paul II. He has also covered every American presidential election since 1980. Chris's resume speaks for itself. He has spent 15 years as a newspaper journalist, 13 of them as the Washington bureau chief for the San Francisco Examiner, and 2 as the national columnist for the San Francisco Chronicle. Before that, he had a 15-year career in public service, in the U.S. Senate for 5 years for Senator Frank Moss of Utah and Senator Edmund Muskie of Maine, and in the White House for 4 years under President Jimmy Carter as a presidential speechwriter, and on the President's Reorganization Project. Then for 6 years as the top aide to Speaker of the House, Tip O'Neill. A graduate of Holy Cross College, Chris did graduate work in economics at the University of North Carolina and at Chapel Hill. He also served for 2 years with the U.S. Peace Corps in Africa. Among his many accomplishments, Chris is the author of 4 best-selling books, 2 of which have been featured on the New York Times bestseller list. His latest book, Life's a Campaign, was released in 2007. Chris is married to Kathleen Matthews, Executive Vice President of Marriott International. You may know him as the host of Hardball on MSNBC and The Chris Matthews Show on NBC, but his 3 most beloved fans, Michael, Thomas, and Caroline, simply call him Dad. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Chris Matthews, also a 2006 Father of the Year recipient.
Thank you. It's Mr. Wurzburger, a tough act to follow. And I'm glad you told the stories, because now I can tell some. Anyway, thank you very much, Glenn. It's an honor to be here, to be one of the presenters of the Fathers of the Year Award. It's a great honor, especially to have your kids here. I have one story to tell. I was thinking, as you were talking, Mr. Wurzburger, about one of the funniest guys I grew up with. I'm going to seem so old now. Sam Levinson. Remember him? He was unbelievable. He would have stories. He was a high school teacher. He came from a big family in New York, and he told stories like about the piano teacher that said to the kid, "If you don't practice, I'll tell your parents you're talented." It's all irony. He talked about the husband. He said, "You know, in my family, I, the husband, the father, make all the big decisions. My wife makes all the little decisions. She decides where we live, where we go on vacation, where the kids go to school, all that little stuff. I decide whether we let Red China in the UN, which was a joke, of course. And my daughter the other day, who's at Penn, and I'm sure is going to go to law school, told me the other day that what she wants to be to grow up, and she changes this occasionally. And she said the other day she wants to be a statesman. Isn't that great? So things are changing. I want to thank Hillary Clinton, your recent senator, for establishing that protocol. My daughter wants to be a statesman. So she'll decide whether we let Red China in the UN. As I said, it's an honor to be here because the father is the ultimate male. I, by the way, put that in the script. The ultimate male role model. You learn how important it is to tell your kids to do the best they can, but also to show them by doing the best you can, by setting an example in your own life, because they watch everything you do. And what is astounding about being a dad is years after you say something, your kid remembers something you said verbatim, and they throw it back at you. They are always, always listening. They may not be talking, they may not be looking at you, but they're always watching their parents and how they relate. I used to love it when my dad hugged my mom. I'm sure he didn't notice. I noticed every time. It's all about example. This year's honorees are great, great teaching examples of fatherhood. I'm proud to welcome them all because they walk now in the footsteps, as of today, of some great fathers. We hope they were great fathers. They seem like it. Only the kids really know. Dwight Eisenhower, by the way, he's going to get better press every year, I'm convinced. That guy's got his big book coming one of these days. John F. Kennedy, Ronald Reagan, General Douglas MacArthur, Colin Powell, sports figures like Dwayne Wade and George Foreman. By the way, all his kids have the same name. And Steve Young. And journalists, our lost great friend Tim Russert and Brian Williams. So at this time, I'd like to invite you to do what we're here to do, have lunch, get ready. We're going to give you the awards out right afterwards. Thank you.
I am pleased to introduce Stuart Goldblatt. Stuart is the president of the National Father's Day and Mother's Day Council. Stuart also serves as the EVP of Merchandising for Macy's Merchandising Group. Most important, Stuart is the father of three. Ladies and gentlemen, Stuart Goldblatt.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us to honor the 2009 Fathers of the Year. The Mother's Day and Father's Day Council is focused on honoring outstanding parenting. However, our true focus is using the honor to raise funds for charities. You may not realize, but this week there are 17 other cities hosting local Father of the Year luncheons. The Father's Day Council has an outstanding partnership with the American Diabetes Association in those cities outside of New York. I would like to thank and acknowledge the president of the American Diabetes Association, here with us today, Larry Hauser. Larry, thank you. As we continue today's program, we appreciate your support and generosity, particularly as proceeds from today's National New York Luncheon will benefit our good friends at Save the Children U.S. programs. You will hear Save the Children U.S. programs a lot because Mark Shriver makes us say it a lot. And our great partner, Mark Shriver, who was a 2008 Father of the Year. So thank you for being here, Mark. We honor 6 wonderful fathers today who have demonstrated many great capabilities. Congratulations, gentlemen, on your honor. I have the honor to introduce the Ashok Sani All-Star Dad and Father of the Year. But first, let me speak a little bit about Ashok Sani. Ashok Sani was my dear friend, and I miss him every day, as I know many of you in the audience do too. Ashok was the president of CGS Industries and was born and educated in Hong Kong before coming to the United States and New York University. He majored in accounting and management and graduated NYU summa cum laude in the class of 1974. At the time, Ashok was the youngest ever to graduate NYU. He then joined his family business, where he excelled and always retained a strong commitment to making the world a better place. In tribute to Ashok's commitment and love of New York University, the Sani Family Foundation is a sole underwriter for the Ashok Sani Scholar in Residence program, which shares Ashok's interest in ethics, truth, love, peace, nonviolence, compassion, and the moral and social responsibilities of members of society with the NYU community. Ashok Sani, beloved husband to Shalu and the most devoted father to Suraj and Monish. His family was his life and calling. Ashok was an incredible human being beloved by all. So today, in the spirit of Ashok Sani and his desire to give equal credit and recognition to all, in the spirit of Ashok Sani, All-Star Everyday Dad, Father of the Year, in the spirit of Ashok Sani, who would congratulate our very distinguished, accomplished, and deserving honorees, I evoke this thought. Today and every day, let's also celebrate the everyday dad, the father who works 2 jobs to make ends meet and keep his family together. It may be the father that just served you lunch, or the father that drove you here, the father who is teaching our children, who is fixing our roads, the father who is picking up our garbage, the father protecting our streets, the father running into burning buildings as we are running out, and the father, the dad, who is thousands of miles away in unknown and unforgiving territory protecting the United States of America. That is the father Ashok Sani had the most pride as an American. Representing all everyday dads, Men's Health magazine graciously runs with the Sani Family Foundation an essay contest. This essay you are about to hear swayed the committee comprised of the Sani family, and there are many of them, and the Father's Day Council. This year, Ashok Sani All-Star Dad essay submitted to Men's Health magazine. The winner is Sue Wonder. Sue will read the most moving essay about this year's honoree, her husband, Rob Wonder. Sue, please come to the podium.
Good afternoon. When I agreed to read the essay, they told me there was only going to be 20 people here, so I'm a little nervous. My son had plans to go to Temple University to study film. Just before his junior year in high school, however, he dove into a swimming pool and broke his neck. He shattered his C5 vertebrae, leaving him paralyzed from the chest down. He finished high school and was accepted at Temple University this past fall. Unfortunately, our insurance would not cover his care because they did not deem him medically needy enough. Instead of telling my son he had to stay home so that we could care for him, maybe go to community college, my husband left his job after 23 years of teaching handicapped children and moved into my son's dorm room with him. My husband sleeps on an air mattress on the floor. He gets my son, who is 6'2", 220 pounds, out of bed every day, showers him, shaves, dresses him, feeds him his breakfast. Then he walks him to class and sets up his laptop. And then he goes back to his room. He cleans his room, he does his laundry, prepares his lunch. At night, he puts him in bed, takes care of his personal issues. And then my husband gets up every 2 hours to turn my son so that he doesn't get any pressure sores. He takes him to and from the hospital with various issues. For one 10-day stint, so that my son did not have to sit in the hospital for 2 weeks and miss classes, my husband administered an IV through a PICC line for an infection my son suffered. My son, at the point of this essay, had 5 weeks to his first year in college, and he plans to continue. When people tell my husband what an awesome thing he's doing, what a sacrifice, I love his response. He's my son. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Wonder.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Smile for the camera so you get
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, they did say 20 people were going to be here. That's why I said, speech, no problem. First, I would like to thank Sunil and his family, the Sani family, for having us here. My family's over table 21, I believe. And the Father's Day Committee for having us here. It's quite a quite a trip. We come from South Jersey down to Cape May. I don't like those Jersey jokes I heard, by the way, either. Especially Southern Jersey. It's truly, I'm humbled but honored to be here with these men. And it's unbelievable. You know, I'm sure every one of them is going to get up and talk about the people behind them that make them successful and the teams behind them that make them successful. And I'm no different. I'm accepting this award because I'm part of a team. On July 23rd, 2006, our lives were changed forever when my son was in a swimming pool accident. And since that day, our family, our friends, and our community rallied behind us to something you could never imagine. Even to this day, people are still doing things for us, and it is absolutely unbelievable. So I would like to share this award with that group of people because they have allowed me to be an all-star dad. I would especially like to share this with my wife, Sue, my daughter, Haley, and of course, Rob, who we've spent 9 months together in a 15 by 15 dorm room, and we still talk to one another. What do you think, Rob? 3 more years and then grad school? So what? So once again, I am truly honored, yet humbled, to win this award, and I just want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you.
Well, it's been quite a day. I'll tell you, Mr. Wurzburger, I thought would be a hard act to follow, but I think we just saw something truly unbelievable here. Mr. Wunder, amazing. The first award goes to someone whose name represents excellence on and off the track. Motorsports racing legend, Al Unser Sr. Mr. Unser began racing in 1957 at the age of 18 in a modified roadster. After 37 years, he retired as a driver in 1994. Along with his many career victories, Mr. Unser is one of only 5 drivers in the world to win consecutive Indy 500s. He's one of only 3 drivers to win the Indy 500 4 times, in 70, 71, 78, and 87. In 2003, Mr. Unser founded the Unser Children's Discovery Center and Racing Museum in the heart of Albuquerque. 2 years later, the Unser Racing Museum opened to the public, displaying the restored cars, awards, and memorabilia of this legendary motorsports family. Education is a large part of the museum's mission, with over 5,000 children admitted each year free, and a college scholarship awarded annually to a high school senior. Mr. Unser is, of course, the father of Al Unser Jr., who carried on the family tradition and has won the Indianapolis 500 twice. Please join me in congratulating Al Unser Jr. as a 2009 Father of the Year.
Well, thank you very much. It's really a pleasure accepting this award, especially with such a group here. You know, an honorary group like this, and you look over the past fathers over the beginning of this organization for Father's Day, I'm telling you, it's a group that makes my heart very warm because it's a group that now I'm part of, and I hope that I can continue to hold up the fathers because we all have our weak points. We don't know how yet, but anyway, my kids, I wish they were all here, being able to have and to share this with me, because without them, of course, I couldn't be here. But it's the racing fraternity of IRL being here and getting me here, and of course, IZOT and all the people, you know, being before a group like this just really makes me kind of breathtaking. And a trophy like this, I have many trophies in my museum in Albuquerque, but this one will be one of the highlights because I think I had to work very hard for this trophy. And it didn't come because of my generosity. It came of generosity of all you people in the committee of this. And it's just a warm feeling. I just want to thank you all, really. And to be part of this group is a great, great honor. Thank you.
Our next award goes to the renowned business mogul, Jonathan Tisch. He has made Loews Hotels into a leading luxury hotel chain. A national leader of the multi-billion-dollar travel and tourism industry, Mr. Tisch founded the Travel Business Roundtable, which merged this year with the Travel Industry Association to create the U.S. Travel Association, of which Mr. Tisch serves as chairman emeritus. He's the author of 2 bestsellers. He's extensively involved in community and philanthropic activities, serving on the board of trustees of Tufts University, the boards of the Elizabeth Glasser Pediatric AIDS Foundation, the Tribeca Film Institute, and the Business Council for the Metropolitan Museum of Art. He's also on the board and is treasurer of the New York Football Giants. Mr. Tisch was also appointed to the United States Department of Commerce U.S. Travel and Tourism Advisory Board in 2003. He's also, since he has a lot of extra time in my business, Mr. Tisch hosts Beyond the Boardroom on television, where he goes one-on-one with the country's leading CEOs. Husband to Lizzie, and the proud father of 2 sons and a daughter, please join me in congratulating Jonathan Tisch as a 2009 Father of the Year.
Thank you very much, Chris, and thank you to the committee. I'm the first to admit that I didn't know much about the Father's Day Committee before Billy Sussman called me and asked if I would accept this honor. And doing research and learning about the passion, the mission that this committee is trying to accomplish not only around Father's Day, but also, most importantly, around Mother's Day. And then understanding that it's not just about recognizing a very important role model in our families, but also being able to help those in our society that need our assistance by giving away $24 million. This is a good event, and you are all good people. I want to congratulate my fellow honorees, Mr. Wonder and your family. That is a remarkable story of perseverance, of dedication, and of love. Major General, if you could pass on to your colleagues our thanks for all that you do for our country. On the stationery that I received from the Father's Day Committee asking about today's luncheon, at the bottom they talk about fathers, family, and charity. Those are all very important ideals as we look to raise our kids and live in a community and live in cities and towns across America that represent our ideals and our values. I talk often about a civil society, and that is opportunity, responsibility, and community. Very similar ideas and very important ideas. My father and uncle built this hotel. It opened in 1963, some of you may remember, as the Americana. It was the first new property built on the west side of Manhattan in some 40 years. This hotel is big, it's 2,100 rooms, and I actually started my career in the hotel industry behind the front desk of this hotel in June of 1968. I learned a lot about the industry working in this building and subsequently in other hotels, but I also learned a lot about this industry through the eyes of my father, Bob Tisch. Sadly, we lost Bob Tisch about 3.5 years ago. He died on November 15th, 2005, and it actually is through Duke University, the Preston Robert Tisch Brain Tumor Research Center, that over the years, the last few years, I had a chance to get to know and admire Coach Krzyzewski for all of his good work. At Duke University, we started this facility, or we helped keep this facility going, to recognize the dedication of many people who every day come in and want to know more about the insidious brain tumor that took not only my father's life, but so many other people that we know and love dearly. At a memorial service a couple days after his passing, I had a chance to talk about some of my remembrances of a remarkable and unique man. This is a person who could walk into a room and immediately make you feel warm, whether he was talking to someone who was a banquet server at the Regency Hotel, or a president, or a fellow CEO. Let me read a short portion of my remarks from his memorial service. Building such a successful business meant there were times when our dinner table in Scarsdale had an empty chair. But we never confused a lack of physical presence to mean a lack of emotional support. Our father was there when we needed him. We also began to understand that in some ways he had another job, not one that added to his financial wealth, but one that allowed him to take his God-given attributes and use those skills and assets to help others. It's a way of life I feel blessed to have witnessed and lived. I'm privileged too, because for me, Bob Tisch was not only my father, he was my mentor. And for the boy who idolized his dad and follows in his footsteps, nothing could have made me happier. I was able to learn the great art of hospitality from one of the industry's founders and pioneers. And while the business of hotels has become much more complex over the years, the hotel business has remained the same. At its core, it's about making people feel warm, welcome, and comfortable. And nobody did that better than Bob Tisch. Whether you're a guest in his hotel, an employee, or a friend, Bob was the embodiment of hospitality. He could walk into a room of any hotel and know the name of everybody who worked there. He knew to follow the basics and not be swayed by the trends. He had a laser-like focus on the bottom line, but it was his natural understanding of the human side of business that truly set him apart. He also brought his ability to get things accomplished to so many other organizations and causes. He had an innate understanding of one's responsibility to others, and combined with a huge dose of humanity and humility, Bob was driven to do so much for so many. His days of labor and love led to weeks, months, and years of commitment to this city and this country. And all the while, he remained a caring and loving husband, father, grandfather, brother, uncle, and friend. Bob was a man who sincerely believed that actions speak louder than words, and his love for this city and its people set in motion significant and meaningful contributions that have benefited countless others. Bob Tisch was my role model and a unique and incredible individual, as I mentioned. Today, with my wife Lizzie, who is here, we have 3 children, and we are honored to be the parents of people that hopefully will change the world like their grandfather did. We are honored to raise kids that hopefully will have the same respect for you, their neighbors, as I learned from my parents. One of the questions that we were asked at the press conference earlier is, if you overheard your kids talking about you, what would you think they would say? And my only hope is that they would say much of what I said about my father. Thank you all very much.
Our next honoree is someone close to my heart. George Stephanopoulos, Chief Washington Correspondent for ABC News and anchor of ABC's Sunday morning program. That's the other show. It's called This Week with George Stephanopoulos. It's on in New York at 10 o'clock Sunday morning. If you want to try something else, there's another alternative at that time. But you don't have to do that just because I'm here and I've taken the time to do this for you. Mr. Stephanopoulos deserves all the honors that we can give him. We're only beginning to do this today. Mr. Stephanopoulos oversees the ABC's network coverage of presidential and congressional politics, can often be seen reporting on political and policy stories on all the ABC News programs, including World News Tonight with Charles Gibson, which will someday be World News Tonight with, I don't know who. Nighttime, I'm sorry, it's Nightline it's called now, isn't it? Nightline and Good Morning America. George moderated some of the major presidential debates of 2008. He played a pivotal role in ABC's coverage of breaking news stories for more than a decade, and he really has. He reported on the death of Pope John Paul II, and he was one of the first reporters on the scene here up in New York on 9/11. Prior to joining ABC in 1997, Mr. Stephanopoulos served with the Clinton administration as the senior advisor to the president for policy and strategy. He's the author of All Too Human, a really good book, a balanced book, actually, fair and balanced, which is a #1 New York Times bestseller on the Clinton presidency. Mr. Stephanopoulos currently resides in Washington with his incredible wife, Alexander Wentworth, the actor, and their daughters, Elliot and Harper, at this time. Please join me in congratulating my friend George Stephanopoulos as the 2009 Father of the Year.
Thank you, Chris. You know, when he got up and he gave me that look, I had no idea what I was in for. And you know what you can do at 10 o'clock is watch me and TiVo him. It actually is great to be here, but I'll confess, I have a hard time, especially after hearing some of the stories here today, figuring out what I'm doing here as Father of the Year. As Chris said, you know, I got into this business a little late, and my daughters, Elliot and Harper, are only 6 and 4. I mean, I love them, but who knows how they're going to turn out? I mean, and I was especially sure that this honor was going to be revoked after what happened last Thursday. And I guess the committee did not hear about this. You know, on Thursday mornings, I usually work at home, and I do these series of drive time radio interviews from up on our second floor. And that morning, Allie had taken the girls in the room next door, and this was a big project. We try to instill in our kids the importance of sharing. They were going to take their clothes and their toys, their extra clothes and their toys, and share them with other kids in D.C. who need them. So it's around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And everybody's doing their thing, and I'm talking to WRQX in Washington. We're sitting there talking about President Obama's health care plan. We're going on and on and on. And all of a sudden, this crystalline, pure, powerful, shrieking voice sings across the hall, straight into the microphone, "I hate you!" All across Washington, D.C., drivers hit the brakes. They wanted to know who hated who. There was no doubt that at that moment I was not Father of the Year. It's also unclear. I tried to find out after the interview exactly what was going on. It is something about a duck that Elliot and Harper couldn't figure out who was going to give it away or who was going to get to keep it. And it seemed that Allie and mine's attempts to instill values and the importance of service on our kids had a little bit of a setback. But we are going to persevere. It is something that I was taught by my father. Both my father and my grandfather are Greek Orthodox priests, and although I did not follow them in that calling, I do try to live what they taught us, which is the value of loving one another as we love ourselves and making sure that is part of our lives. It is something that we are trying to share with our children, and we also want to share with them, and it's one of the reasons we're here today, in a real sense of honor and commitment to save the children. So many of you are here today to support that organization. I've been working with them since the mid-1980s. I actually was, as a student, I traveled to the Sudan. It was 1984, and there was a terrible famine on the border of Ethiopia and Sudan, and I went and worked there and did some journalism and saw for the first time the kind of work that Save the Children does around the world. And what's important about what Save the Children does is they don't only go to places when disaster strikes, which they do very, very well, and they were there on the ground as this famine hit, but they stay. There in Sudan, they stayed and they built wells, and they drilled wells all across that region so that the next time a drought hit, the communities might be able to survive the famine. They follow through on that same ethic here in the United States. Started in Appalachia during the Great Depression. And no organization in the country is as dedicated to focusing on the problems of kids who live in those rural areas, those underserved areas, where 1 out of 5 children are in poverty, as Save the Children. But they don't only go when Katrina or another natural disaster strikes. They go into these communities and they stay, making sure the kids know they have a partner, teaching children how to read, doing what they can to give kids who otherwise would not have a chance the chance to live up to their potential. It is an amazing organization. I'm honored to serve on their board and to continue to work with them. I will try to convince my kids that this is a worthy organization. I hope they will follow the example of Allie and I in supporting them And until then, I'm going to do my radio from home. From work, excuse me.
Gets better and better. Our next honoree is General David H. Petraeus, Commander of the United States Central Command and the United States Army. After serving 19 months as the commanding general of the multinational force in Iraq, General Petraeus assumed command of the U.S. Central Command in October of 2008. He previously commanded the United States Army Combined Arms Center in Fort Leavenworth. Prior to that, he was the first commander of the Multinational Security Transition Command in Iraq, which he led from June of 2004 to September 2005, and the NATO training mission in Iraq, which he commanded from October 2004 and 2005. He is, of course, the father of the surge. That deployment to Iraq followed his command of the 101st Airborne Division, during which he led the Screaming Eagles in combat throughout the first year of operation of Iraqi freedom. General Petraeus has held leadership positions in airborne, mechanized, and air assault infantry units in Europe and in the United States. Upon graduation from West Point in 1974, General Petraeus was commissioned in the infantry. Following that, he was the George Marshall Award winner as the top graduate of the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College class of '83. He holds an master's degree and PhD in international relations from Princeton. Wow. And he was selected by Foreign Policy magazine as one of the world's top 100 public intellectuals, and by Esquire as one of the 75 most influential people of the century. He and his wife, Holly, have 2 children, Ann and Stephen. He could not be here today because he had business more important than this, apparently, with the president. However, Major General Kenneth Dowd is here to accept this award on his behalf. I've forgotten to know, General Dowd, thank you for your service, General. And thank you, of course, for everybody. Thank you. Thank you. General Dowd, thank you.
First off, it's an honor, and I'm very humbled to be here today. Thanks, Paul, for the invite, and thanks for all the efforts today. And also, Paul has a much better military coin collection than I do, so you should check it out. On behalf of General Petraeus and his family, it's an honor to accept this award today. Truly, even last night when I was talking to the boss about some comments for the press conference, he was still trying to get here. He knew how important it was, but he got called away by some things in D.C. But the boss is very honored to accept this, to get this award. It'll be placed in his office in a place of honor. If you watch the boss, whenever he has white space on a calendar, that's where we have a little time to be with our families. He's always trying to figure out how to get his 2 kids and his wife together for just a little while to spend time with them. He's a very great father, and I've watched him from a distance. I'd also like to thank all the spouses, especially in the military, who take care of our children when we're deployed. I've got the honor to get up here for one day. I brought my wife. It's our anniversary. I leave Saturday to go back down there, but it was a great night watching Jersey Boys and spending some time with my wife. So it's been a great trip. But in the Army, our Army is built on our families. And we take a lot of time and work in that within, when we're back from redeployment, stuff like that. So it's an honor to be here today. Also wanted to thank some of the distinguished gentlemen that I've met up here today as far as what work they do with our wounded warriors and their families. A lot of facilities out there, but a lot of these gentlemen donate time and funds to help our wounded warriors each and every day. And then I just want to say thanks. The boss's award will be well displayed. I'll take it back to him tomorrow. I'll tell him I had brief comments, and I'll also tell him that I won't be quoted in the press on anything going on in Afghanistan and Iraq. But this is a very important session here today, and I'm just honored and very humbled to be here. Thank you.
Well, the final award goes to the legend himself, Mike Krzyzewski, head coach at Duke, the Blue Devils. Young guy, but 29 years at Duke. He's led the Blue Devils through countless winning seasons and built a dynasty that few programs in the history of the game can match. Coach K and the Blue Devils have been a fixture in the national basketball scene with 14 consecutive NCAA tournament berths from 1996 to 2009, and 25 in the last 26 years. That's an amazing streak. But most impressive are the 3 national championships he's won, 91, 92, and 2001, that make Coach K one of the only 4 coaches in NCAA history to earn 3 or more NCAA titles in basketball. In this past 2008-2009 season, Coach K guided Duke to the program's 10th 30-win season, the ACC Tournament Championship, and the Sweet 16 berth that they won, capping off a decade with an NCAA record 291 victories. It's obviously my favorite sport. Coach K has earned nearly every award imaginable, including the prestigious honor of being named America's Best Coach by Time Magazine. He's obviously a member of the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. Adding to an already extraordinary list of accomplishments, Coach K was selected as head coach of the U.S. Basketball Olympic team that won in Beijing. He's the author of 6 books, 3 coaching publications. He's considered an ideal mentor by his coaching staff and friends. His players regard him as a leader, a motivator, and most importantly, a father figure. While fans worldwide know the 3-time national champion as Coach K, his 3 daughters, Debbie, who's here. Is Debbie here? Where's Debbie? We met her. Debbie's here. There she is. Debbie, Lindy, and Jamie, and 5 grandchildren simply call him their hero. Please join me in congratulating Mike Krzyzewski as 2009 Father of the Year.
Thank you so much, and congratulations, General. And thank you for the great service. I'm a West Point graduate of 1969, a former Army captain, and those are the best fathers, the fathers who make it possible for us to be fathers here in the greatest country in the world. So thank you. George, congratulations. I'm not going to tell you which one we TiVo, but we do get a chance to enjoy both you and Chris, and it's good to have some opinions that are the same and some that aren't, and then vote on them. John, one of the leaders in our country, really, and one of the great speakers in our country. It's an honor to be here. And one of the legends in sport, Al, you set the table for others to follow. So congratulations. Ron, it's nice of you to invite us to your family reunion. Even though I'm Polish Catholic, I expect a few invitations to the next bar mitzvahs. And I want to tell you that I'm a little bit self-conscious with having most of the clothing industry in New York. It's my best suit, I'm sorry. I'm interested in offers on who can do better, so that I can look good at the bar mitzvah. There's always, but we all come in second place. We're the guys who play with LeBron James and Kobe Bryant, because the MVP of this dais is that guy right down there, Rob, and. Thank you for you and your family sharing what it is to have true commitment and true love. Man, you guys are. I wish I was on your team. It's a championship level team. All the awards that I've been fortunate enough to get in my life is a result of having good people with me. As a coach, you don't get anything unless you win, and you never shoot a basket, get a rebound. You don't do any of those things. So you're always on great teams. I've been on 3 national championship teams, 2 Olympic gold medal teams, and but the best team that I'm on is the Krzyzewski team. And the reason we have a great team is because of my wife. June 4th, which is June 4th, 1969, I graduated from West Point, and on that day, my wife and I got married. We just celebrated our 40th wedding anniversary. And we're both 8, and sometimes I say we're from West Virginia, but then I get bad letters coming back. So don't. Where's the I hate you thing coming in and saving me at that point? But my wife and I really, and I tell this to my team all the time, I ask them, I said, is 2 better than 1? And they always think I'm going to goof on them, so they're afraid to answer a question. But they say, yeah. And then I'll say, well, why is 2 better than 1? I say, I don't know, because I don't want to get in trouble with you. That's why. And I said, the only way 2 is better than 1 is if 2 can act as 1. And so 40 years, my wife and I have acted as 1. We've been a team. And because I'm the father, it's the Krzyzewski team. She got messed over because it could have been the Marsh team. Although then she wouldn't, Ron, have all those Z's and Y's and all those marks of distinction. And, but I'm proud of the fact that I have 3 daughters, and now I have 6 grandchildren. We just got our 6th 2 weeks ago. Remington Michael, and we're expecting our 7th in November. And I can tell you that of all the honors that I've received, the best thing that somebody can say to me is to say, Father. And the best thing that Debbie has said to me throughout her life, and it makes me feel like I'm the best person in the world, is when she says, Daddy, and then I'll do anything in the world for her. And she's used that against me for her whole life. And my daughters have picked up on it. I want you to know that this is the biggest honor I could get. I speak for all the people who are being honored here today. And again, it's an honor to share the dais with Rob. Thank you for what you do with this luncheon to help others. But that's what a father should do. Your responsibility is that when you wake up every day, there's a smile on your face because you're never alone. You have a family to take care of. It's not a responsibility, it's an honor. Thank you for honoring fatherhood. Appreciate it.
Our program wouldn't be complete today without taking a moment to thank some very important people. Today would not have been possible without their hard work and dedication. First, I'd like to thank Chris Matthews. We're honored that you were able to join us here today as our MC. The council has a little present for you.
Aren't you nice?
And we also have a present for your wife.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Next, I'd like to thank the incredible 2009 Father's Day Committee, Stacy Burns, Michael Brescia, Stuart Goldblatt, Brian Hoke, Eric Hunter, Paul Metcalf, Dan Orwig, Tom Ott, Scott Polworth, Malcolm Robinson, Paul Rosengard, Sunil Sinai, Lily Sidorovich, William Sussman, and Joe Rivers. I'd also like to thank Men's Health Magazine for our invitation and today's program. A big thank you to you, to our sponsors that help support today's luncheon, Peerless Clothing, Macy's, Phillips Van Heusen, the Sunil family, the Wurzburger family, the Jeffrey Bean Organization, Itachu, Claiborne by John Bartlett, Men's Health Magazine, and Peerless International. Once again, to our Fathers of the Year, I'd like to extend one final congratulations to you all. Thanks to everyone for coming today and taking the time to honor some outstanding fathers. Have a great day and a happy Father's Day. And just one last thing, if you can, leave the pledges at the door on the way out for those of you who pledged for Save the Children. Thank you and have a great weekend.